Okay, so this is the last thing that we're doing, and this is our Piecewise Functions worksheet. And basically what we're going to do is identify whether it's a function, and we're going to graph it over the specified domain. So these are the functions, and these are the domains that you're going to follow. Things to keep in mind. You always, always, always start with the number that's in the domain, whether it's is equal to or not. We're going to talk about that. This one right here is a linear, and this one right here is a quadratic. So we are going to be graphing a piece of a line and a piece of a parabola on the same coordinate plane. What I like to do is I like to make tables that help me to plot the points easier. So I'm going to start with writing a table for x plus 5, and here's the thing that most kids get wrong. You want to start with the number they give you. So we are starting with -2 on the x, and we want to go x is less than -2. So after we get -2, we're going to go less. Oh, good grief. Down the number line. And just with a few values until we get the hang of it. And then as soon as the y values aren't plottable anymore, then you don't. Things to keep in mind. This value right here is not equal to. Okay, so this one is going to be an open circle. Open circle because there's no equal to. But you always, 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 always start with the domain number they give you. Okay? Remember, less than is smaller, so -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. Then we're going to plug these numbers into the function. So -2 plus 5 is 3, -3 plus 5 is 2, -4 plus 5 is 1, -5 plus 5 is 0, -6 plus 5 is -1, -7 plus 5, -2. And then we're going to plot these values. But you have to remember that on this one, -2, 3, it's an open circle again because there's no equal to here. So -2, 1, 2, 3. We're going to have an open circle, -3, 2, -4, 1. Basically going to look like this. Now, linear goes on forever, and because we want all the values of x that are less than -2, see how this is an open circle? We're going to have an arrow pointing that way. The next thing that we're going to do is take our second function, which is our quadratic, x squared plus 2x plus 3. We are using the domain -2, except in this domain, because it's an equal to, it's going to be a closed circle. Because of the greater than or equal to. And we want greater than, so that would be -1, 0, 1, 2. We're going to plug these values in. You got to be careful when you're plugging them in that you're computing them correctly. So -2 squared is +4. 2 times -2 is -4, so that wipes out. So that gives us 3. -1 squared is +1. 2 times -1 is -2, so that becomes a -1. Plus 3 is 2. 0 is 3. 1 squared is 1. Plus 2 is 3. Plus 3 is 6. And 2 squared is 4. Plus 4 is 8, 9, 10, 11. So I don't know if we'll be able to hit that one, but... All right, so at -2, 3, this one is going to be a closed circle. So -2, 3, this literally fills in that hole. -1, 2. 0, 3. 1, 6. And it doesn't look like we can go to 211, so it's going to look like this. Okay, so if you look at this, you should see that the red part is definitely linear. and that this is a piece of a quadratic or a piece of a parabola. Another thing you should notice is that it's continuous. That means there's no gaps or holes in the graph, because the one place where there was an open circle, it got filled in the same exact spot just because we plugged it in and it worked out that way. Is it a function? Well, does it pass the vertical line test? Does it go through each point individually, 1x for every 1y? And the answer to that is yes, this is a function. And now we get to answer these questions here. So when x is 3, which category does positive 3 fall into? Is it less than -2 or is it greater than or equal to -2? Well, it's going to fall into this category at where x is greater than or equal to -2. So that means we have to plug 3 into this bottom function. So we would do 3 squared plus 2 times 3 plus 3. That's 9 plus 6. That's 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, so the reason why we put it into the bottom one was because that's the value, the domain where x is bigger than -2. 3 is bigger than -2. -4 falls into which category? Well, -4 is less than -2, so that would be red. So we're going to put -4 into this function, -4 plus 5, and that's going to give me 1. And -2, that's our last one. And -2 doesn't belong to both of these. -2 belongs to the one where there's an equal to. So we would use the bottom function only. Okay, so keep in mind that when you have a value that's on a domain, you have to make sure that you use the one that's equal to. In this case, it would be the x squared plus 2x plus 3. We already said this was 4 minus 4 plus 3, which is 3. All right, so that's how you do these questions. All right, so again, you're going to split up these into tables. You're going to make a table. Make sure you're following the domain. You're going to start with whatever value it is. If it's not equal to, you're going to use an open circle. Equal to, you use a closed circle. When you're plotting, you're going to fill in the values for your table, and then you're going to plot those points. When you plot those points, make sure that you're nice and accurate. This one had one fill in for the other, so there were no gaps. This is a continuous function. It is a function. It passes the vertical line test. And so all we had to do left was to plug the values into the proper domain. Okay.